Hello everyone, my name is Ann Nordgren and I am a professor in clinical genetics from Stockholm, from Karolinska Institute, and I'm happy that you have asked me to talk about the hackathon, the Undiagnosed Hackathon. So everything with the hackathon started during a dinner at the UDNI meeting in Vienna in November 2022. That's when Helene Cederroth from the Wilhelm Foundation came to me and said, "Ann, can you host a hackathon at Karolinska?" And I said, "Of course I can. But Helene, what is a hackathon?" And then Orion who is CTO from PhenoTips, came and he said, "A hackathon is a marathon for hackers. I can help." So that's when we decided to have a hackathon in Stockholm. So the hackathon was held in June 2023 and co-hosted by Wilhelm Foundation, PhenoTips, and the Karolinska Undiagnosed Diseases program, with part from the Karolinska Institute and also Karolinska University Hospital. So why did we choose to have a hackathon for the undiagnosed? Well, it is because 60% of all patients with rare diseases that undergo massive parallel sequencing are still undiagnosed. So we have to do more in order to diagnose more people. We have to collaborate. We need better tools to evaluate genetic data. We need multi-omics analysis and better platforms. We need streamlined functional studies. We need phenotyping tools. And we need also novel data sharing approaches in order to achieve this. We choose to have an invitation-only model where we invited 100 experts from 28 countries, and we asked those experts to select patients that we could discuss at the hackathon. And the experts selected 11 undiagnosed patients, or rather families, from 8 countries, from the United States to Europe to Africa to Turkey, India, China. And it was really, really nice, this, but also a logistic challenge, since we needed to get informed consents for all the patients and also blood samples, and our colleagues had to collect phenotypes, and then we performed sequencing at Karolinska and in Uppsala, Sweden, and this created large data sets. So we even had to have our own server at KI, and we had to affiliate people to Karolinska. We also had to open a special line to get access to a fast internet during the event, and there were lots of things we had to think about with safety. Helene and Mick Cederroth were working with other parts, like the travel visa for participants, accommodation, food, hotels, and also to take care of the families during the hackathon, and journalists as well. And what we did with those 11 families and the blood samples is that we performed whole genome trio sequencing, long read singleton sequencing, and epic arrays. We also performed short read RNA-seq and long read RNA-seq, and we used a standardized phenotyping tool called tip-to-toe to get the standardized phenotype, and all with a goal to try to find the diagnosis in these patients in order to be able to if possible, offer them personalized medicine and improve their quality of life. So when all the participants arrived, Wilhelm Foundation had really arranged a top-tier venue. We had wonderful meals and arrangements all throughout the hackathon. And the first night we went on a boat trip in the Swedish archipelago, and all the participants were divided into working groups, and they were divided into unicorns and smileys and dinosaurs, space and animals. Very nice when everyone arrived to Karolinska, And the best of all was also that the families and the patients, they were there. We got to meet them. Everyone got to meet them, and also their siblings. So that was really very important, I would say, for the whole event, that we could meet the patients. And if we had questions, we were able to discuss with them. They came back. We could look at the children. So the experts were divided in teams, and then the patients were divided in those teams. And like here you can see the smiley team working on this little girl. And while the experts were working, the families and patients went to an amusement park in Stockholm. The event brought a lot of attention there, and there were several journalists there, and we were even on the Swedish news on television. Everyone had to work very hard during the hackathon, but Wilhelm Foundation, they really made sure that we had enough of energy all the time. We got beautiful Swedish cakes and buns and candies and energy drinks. And it was just wonderful to see how the teamwork erased the borders between all the people involved, and also to see the highly ranked scientists, how they had to return to the bench and do diagnostics themselves. This was very motivating. At the end of this 48-hour collaborative effort, we had been able to diagnose 4 patients. But the work was not ended there. It went on for 3 more months, where data was available to everyone. After 3 months, several of the participants from the hackathon met at the UDNI conference in Georgia and discussed, and at that time point there were still 4 patients that were solved, but we are working on candidate genes, and hopefully some more of these patients will be solved in the future. So to summarize, I would really like to thank everyone who contributed, especially Helene and Mick, who organized so much of the event, and also Orion for being such a great leader of the hackathon, and also my own research group and everyone at Karolinska, and all the participants and the funders, but most of all the patients. And also I am really looking forward to the next hackathon, because it has been decided that there will be a new hackathon in Nijmegen in June this year. Thank you. And in the end, I would like to show a movie that the Wilhelm Foundation made from the hackathon. Thank you.
Hey everyone, I'm Wendy van Zelst. I'm a clinical geneticist and professor care for rare at the Radboud University, Nijmegen, the Netherlands. I'm happy to join you all today on Undiagnosed Day. For over a decade, I have been involved in the Undiagnosed Diseases Network International, which have resulted in participation of the Undiagnosed Photo Project initiative of the Wilhelm Foundation, as shown on the left photo, and we hosted the 8th International Conference on Rare and Undiagnosed Diseases in 2020. I'm sure I do not have to explain to this audience how important it is to have a diagnosis, as it is the actual start of a good care pathway related to the management and, in most cases, future treatment options. Next to that, it will provide possibilities to get in contact with other patients. In Nijmegen, we focus on 3 topics to improve the quality of care for patients with rare diseases: early diagnosis, insight in disease mechanisms, with therapy development and prevention. At the Department of Human Genetics, we contribute to all 3 topics. We have a very innovative diagnostic division, for instance, with a focus on the implementation of new DNA technologies in daily clinical practice as soon as possible. We are currently researching the value of long-read genome sequencing in patients without a diagnosis after extensive genetic testing. Next to the implementation of new DNA technologies, we try to shorten the diagnostic odyssey of patients with rare diseases with DNA-first strategies. We aim to have the genetic test as a first-tier diagnostic test after visiting a medical specialist, or even before the patient is seen by a medical specialist. Our first results for patients with a neurodevelopmental disorder are very successful and have shortened the care pathway within the Radboud University Medical Center itself by a year already. We are very proud to host the second Undiagnosed Hackathon this year after the successful first edition in Stockholm last year, initiated by the Wilhelm Foundation. This year's Undiagnosed Hackathon will be held on June 7 to 8 at the Radboud University Medical Center to Nijmegen. Professionals with different backgrounds like AI, bioinformatics, clinical genetics, data analytics, and so on will try to come to a diagnosis for undiagnosed patients. We will reanalyze exome and/or genome data from 45 patients from all over the world. For 25 patients, we generated new data with the most optimal and new technologies, like long-read genome sequencing and optical genome mapping. The professionals will bend over these new generated data in 5 groups during the hackathon, hence the coat of armor designed last year. We will proudly present the outcome of this hackathon on next year's Undiagnosed Day. I can then hopefully tell you that for several patients involved in the photo project, as shown on the first slide, we were able to get a diagnosis. We can then show you a Nijmegen picture like this one, and hope that it will even be a more successful edition than the first one. Thank you very much for your attention and also for your contribution to this very important group of patients.